guys, what's going on? It's MassiveJoes RAW review, and I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Awesome raw review for the viewers at home today on one of the most highly anticipated, high stimulant pre-workouts we have seen thus far. It is, of course, 5150 in the house. Let's get straight into it, show you guys exactly what's in it, tell you exactly what it's going to do. That nutritional information panel ain't going to get it done. We're about to go balls deep in this here 5150 from my good man Rich Piana'a at 5% Nutrition. Luckily, got ourselves a big ass nutritional information panel for the viewers at home. Starting from the top, serving size 10 grams, got yourself about 30 of them 10 gram bitches in one of these 30 serve 5150 bitches. In terms of what the 10 grams is made up of, if you do a quick addition and add up all of the actives, you'll see that they come to just under 8 grams of active ingredients. So we're dealing with about 20% flavors, colors, and other bits and pieces, which is pretty good for a pre-workout, to be honest. Usually these days up around 40 to 50%, man. So 20%, you're getting yourself a bunch of active ingredients up in this bitch. Before we actually get stuck into it, I will point out that one of the coolest things with this particular 5150, and for all you Rich Piana'a 5% Nutrition fans out there who are familiar with the current pre-workout or their first pre-workout, Kill It, which is a which is a proprietary blend, so a non-full disclosure pre-workout. You don't know exactly how much of each ingredient is in it. When you look at the nutritional information panel for this 5150, Rich Piana'a 5% Nutrition go in the complete other direction and tell you exactly what's in it and exactly how much of each ingredient is in it, up into the caffeine. The caffeine's proprietary, but they do tell you exactly how much total caffeine that stimulant, Stim Crazy caffeine complex yields. So I gotta say, straight off the bat, round of applause and a bravo to my good man Rich Piana'a and 5% Nutrition for doing what the people want. Because the people want full disclosure nutritional information panels, man. We want to know what we're putting into our bodies, and we want to know how much of what we're putting into our bodies. Let's go balls deep. Starting from the top. Starting off with zoom and focus action, please. Starting off with 2 B vitamins. Vitamin B2 is niacin, 12.5 grams. Vitamin B12 in a 1,000 microgram dose. That's a massive dose of vitamin B12. The B vitamins are in there to buffer the caffeine. That's effectively, whenever you see B vitamins in a high stimulant pre-workout supplement, that's to make sure, or not to make sure that you don't, but to buffer your post-workout crash or your post-workout drop in energy so that you don't get a really high stimulant, increase in energy from stimulants and they drop you like a sack of potatoes post-workout. That's what the B vitamins are doing in there. Moving right along, we then get into the goodness. L-citrulline, 4,000 milligrams. Goddamn! That's a lot of L-citrulline, and I gotta point out, it's not citrulline malate, that is the free-form amino acid L-citrulline. Clinical dose for free-form L-citrulline is like 3 grams. So they've overdosed the L-citrulline for them sick muscle pumps. And that's what the citrulline is doing in there. It's gonna increase vasodilation for muscle pumps and nutrient delivery to working muscles. Moving right along, we've then got L-Taurine in a 2,000 milligram dose. That's about double clinical dose. L-Taurine clinical dose is usually 1,000 grams or 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram. Taurine's in there for muscular endurance, and taurine works really well with high doses of caffeine as a neurostimulant also. Moving right along, we've then got the combination of N-acetyl L-tyrosine, aka NALT, in the 750 milligram dose. That's a massive dose of NALT, combined with a full 500 milligram dose of choline bitartrate, massive dose of choline as well in this here 5150, man. Those 2 ingredients in combination with together are both able to cross the blood-brain barrier, both able to assist through mental focus. That's what they're doing in there, man. The N-acetyl L-tyrosine, acetyl chain crosses the blood-brain barrier to help with mental focus. Choline bitartrate, a precursor to acetylcholine, also going to help with mental focus. That's a really solid mental focus blend, especially in those dosages. N-acetyl L-Tyrosine, we're used to seeing like 250 milligram dose. Some really good pre-workouts will have 500 milligrams. Only the best pre-workouts have 750 milligrams. Choline in particular is usually pixie dusted because it's an expensive as ingredient to put in a pre-workout supplement. If you do see a decent dose of choline, it's usually 100 to 200 milligrams. Rich Piana'a 5% Nutrition going to throw 500 milligrams of choline in this 5150. Really good mental focus blend. Moving right along, and now this is where we get into the stimulants, which is really what this 5150 is, the high stimulant pre-workout supplement. Hyginamine hydrochloride 50 milligrams combined with hordenine hydrochloride 50 milligrams. Combined with halostacine hydrochloride 50 milligrams. Combined with synephrine hydrochloride 30 milligrams. We haven't even gotten into the caffeine yet. Those four stimulants by themselves in combination with each other in those sorts of dosages is a phenomenal stimulant blend already. Before you even consider the 8 types of caffeine that we're about to get to, obviously those 4 ingredients are all in there for neurostimulation, physical stimulation, and mental stimulation to help you train like a wild bull. Moving right along, we now get into the one part of the nutritional information panel that is proprietary, and that is the Stim Crazy Caffeine Complex. So what we're dealing with here is we've got 8 different sources of caffeine. First off the bat is caffeine anhydrous. Then we've got dicaffeine malate, which is the combination of caffeine and malic acid. We've then got theobromine, which is the natural source of caffeine from the cacao extract. Also acts as a vasodilator as well as a stimulant. We've then got caffeine from green tea leaf, so that's going to be a natural source of caffeine. We've then got another natural source of caffeine from yerba mate extract, really good for increasing metabolic rate as well as stimulation. We've then got another source of caffeine from guarana extract, the seed in particular, yielding 22% of guarana, another natural source of caffeine. Then we've got another natural source of caffeine from the green coffee bean extract, also the seed. Then finally, we've got another source of caffeine, the 8th source, from gotu kola extract, the dried nut in particular, 8 sources of caffeine, yielding in total 400 milligrams. And it does specifically say that on the label right there. Zoom and focus action, please. 8 sources of caffeine, and I think somewhere on the back it does. Down here in the bottom, in a little bit of red, you can see that the total caffeine per scoop or the total caffeine per serving is 400 milligrams total caffeine from those 8 different sources. So even though we don't know how much of each particular source there is in there, it doesn't really matter, because the reason they're all in there is to get you caffeine from natural and artificial sources, and the net effect is 400 milligrams in total. Got yourself some artificial colors, artificial flavors. And that's what's in it. So it's quite a simple supplement from a pre-workout perspective. Effectively, you've got a crazy stimulant matrix, 8 sources of caffeine, 400 milligrams in total, plus 4 other really strong stimulants, very highly dosed, plus 2 ingredients in there, very highly dosed for mental focus, plus an ingredient for muscular endurance, the L-Taurine, which is 2 times clinical dose, plus an ingredient in there for muscle pumps, the L-Citrulline, which is over clinical dose, 25-30% over clinical dose, plus your B vitamins to prevent you from crashing. That's effectively what we're doing for. On paper, by far one of the strongest stimulant pre-workouts that we have seen thus far. And also, it's good to see that it's not just stimulants. There are some other things in there, and the other things that are in there aren't just pixie dusted, aren't just fairy dusted for the sake of putting them on the label. They're actually in there above clinical doses, overdosed. I would go so far as at this point on paper to call the 5150, that name, I'd go with the overdosed pre-workout, or change the name of this motherfucker to the OD or the OG. You know what I'm saying? In terms of how it tastes, how it mixes. Comes in 4 flavors. Comes in green apple. Comes in wild berry. Comes in pomegranate. Comes in my personal favorite, and this is actually my personal tub, That there passion fruit. Got the infamous MassiveJoes taste and mixability test about to go down. The infamous double wall glass up in this bitch. Got my personal tab of the 5150. I didn't do the lid up quite tight enough. It's going all over the place. There we go. Personal tub of the 5150 in the passion fruit flavor. I'm gonna take myself one scoop, one 10-gram scoop. So you can see it's usually what we're used to seeing with high stimulant pre-workout supplements is like a 3 to 5 gram scoop. As I mentioned on paper, in addition to the stimulants, there's a lot of other active ingredients that are really well dosed. You're talking 6 grams straight off the bat combined with citrulline and taurine. That's why the scoop is so damn big. So for a concentrated stimulant pre-workout, it's actually quite unique because you're dealing with a 10-gram scoop. I'm gonna take this bitch, throw this bitch in this bitch, and let it rain, let it rain. A few flicks of the wrist, man. I'm gonna show you guys how it mixes. And I'm gonna refresh my memory on how this here passion fruit tastes, man. That's enough. So you guys can see that. No floaters, no sinkers, no clumps, nothing. Because of that, I would go so far as to say blender bowl is not required. For this here, Rich Piana'a 5% Nutrition 5150. The weird thing is that's not the color of passion fruit. I think they really f***ed up the color because that passion fruit should be like a yellow or an orange, or they're definitely not that really deep kind of orange reddish color going on in this bitch. Anyway, let me refresh my memory on how this passion fruit tastes, man. I'm not going to drink the whole thing because 400 milligrams of caffeine combined with all those other stimulants, I'm well above my daily intake of stimulants today already. And I want to go much more above it, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, the flavors are considering they're only using 20% flavoring, sweeteners and coloring, they're really quite good. I would actually go so far as to say delicious. I really would. There's no nasty aftertaste. It's a really smooth flavoring system they've used. Rich Piana'a 5% Nutrition across all of their products, I don't think that they've actually produced a product that tastes bad. The flavors are really quite nice. If I had to rank the 5150 flavors, passion fruit is my personal favorite. Probably after passion fruit, I'd go the wild berry. After the wild berry, I'd go the green apple. And then after the green apple, I'd go the pomegranate. I'm not that big a fan of pomegranate. But that being said, all 4 flavors really are quite true to flavor. So you're gonna get what you think you're gonna get with the flavors. And that is, yeah, they've done really well considering 20%. They've done well even if they were using like 40 or 50% artificial colors, artificial flavors. They've really done exceptionally well with the flavoring of this here 5150 in terms of the effects. Because let's be honest, that's what you're taking the shit for, man. You've seen this advertised. This is the Stim Crazy pre-workout from Rich Piana'a of 5% Nutrition. You're expecting this shit to blow your fucking head off. That's what you're taking it for. Let me tell you about my personal experience, man, because I've used this pre-workout supplement a bunch of times. The first thing that I did, and viewers at home who tune into the MassiveJoes YouTube channel and raw reviews in particular would know, for me, 300 milligrams of caffeine is about my personal limit. If I go much over 300 milligrams, it has the opposite effect on me and it makes me feel very sleepy. That being said, the first time I took the 5150, I thought to myself, it, I do have to give one full serve a go, even though I know what's going to happen, because I just want to see if what I think is going to happen is going to happen. So the first time I trained on it, I took a full scoop, which was getting me 400 milligrams of caffeine, plus the hyginamine, the hordenine, the halostacine, and the synephrine, the full dose that we went through. And what I thought was going to happen is exactly what happened. So I felt really good for about 20 minutes, and then I felt tired, which for me personally is what happens if I go over about 300 milligrams of caffeine. So it wasn't a great workout, it wasn't a great experience. The second time I took it, and every subsequent time after, I did what I know is within my personal stimulant tolerance. I took 3/4 of a scoop. So I actually weighed this shit out on my scales and took 10 grams being the full scoop. I took 7.5 grams. So I knew I was gonna get 300 milligrams of total caffeine plus 3/4 of everything else that's in there. So based on the fact that it's overdosed in everything, still getting the full clinical serve of L-Citrulline, still getting well above a full serve of L-Taurine, still getting a massive serve of N-acetyl L-tyrosine and choline, and a massive serve of those other stimulants in there. And that's what I did on every time. I've trained on it 5 or 6 times now. That's what I did every single time, was do 3/4 of a scoop. So the first thing I'm gonna say in terms of the effects is, if you know your stimulant tolerance, and in particular your caffeine tolerance, stick within that for your own personal, for what you know you can personally tolerate. For me, it's 300 milligrams, so I went 3/4 of a scoop. Now, in terms of what I experienced with 3/4 of a scoop, it's funny with this pre-workout stuff, because it's not, you don't experience what you expect you're going to experience from. I was expecting this to be the strongest stimulant pre-workout supplement I had seen thus far. That's how it's marketed. On paper, it looks ridiculous. So I was expecting it to blow my head off and drop me harder than I've ever been dropped before post-workout. And funnily enough, it didn't have that effect at all. The effect that I've experienced on it at the 3/4 of a scoop, every single time that I've taken it, has been very clean energy, very amazing mental focus, really good muscle pumps, and great muscular endurance. It's really quite good. It's not what I experienced at all. It's kind of what I'd experienced from a complete pre-workout, to be completely honest. And it's very strange because there's no beta-alanine. There's nothing in there for muscle power. There's no creatine, ATP, nothing related to ATP or muscle power in there at all. It really is a lot of stimulants, a lot of mental focus, a lot of muscle pumps and muscular endurance. And that's really what you experience from it. So it's not the type of pre-workout that's gonna blow your head off. Don't get it twisted. It gives you a lot of energy. It gives you really good mental focus. You can get really good workouts on it, but it's not stupidly crazy like you would expect it to be, which is a good thing. Don't get it twisted. Nobody is getting really good workouts out of a stupidly strong stimulant blend that just gets you jacked up for half an hour and makes you feel like shit for the rest of the day or the rest of the night, depending on when you train. That's not good for anybody. That kind of transient effect is shit. And if that was the net result of this pre-workout, I would actually be very disappointed in it. The fact that it's not what you expect it to be, I think, in my personal opinion, is for the benefit of this pre-workout, because you can get a really good workout on it. And for those workouts where you do want a really sharp energy, sharp spike in energy, really good mental focus, where you can just get in the gym and get your shit done, and then the benefit of muscular endurance and really good muscle pumps as well, I think that's really where this 5150 comes into its own. The last thing that I will say is at 30 serves, first of all, if you're taking full serves, it's really good value for money. If you're taking 3/4 serves like I am, it turns into a 40 serve tub. And in the Australian market, you're looking around the $70 mark for 40 serves. You can't buy pre-workouts per serve at that kind of per serve value for money anymore. So it's a really good value for money pre-workout supplement. Guys, if you're in the market for a very strong stimulant-based pre-workout supplement that isn't gonna give you a crazy crash post-workout, that's still gonna get you in the elevated state physically and psychologically, where you can go into the gym and train like a wild bull, plus give you muscular endurance and muscle pumps, plus taste really good as well, plus stupid value for money, you gotta give yourself some of this Rich Piana'a 5% Nutrition 5150 a shot. Guys, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, man. Stay up to date with all the latest editions of MassiveJoes RAW Review and all the other deliciousness in our YouTube channel. And guys, that is MassiveJoes RAW Review on the all-new 5150 from 5% Nutrition and Rich Piana'a in the house. And I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Stay